All right, so get this. We are diving into the world of Neuralink today. But we're not just talking like the technology itself, right?
Right.
We've got an actual interview with the first human to ever receive a Neuralink implant.
I know, it's crazy.
Like, this is a guy living with tech straight out of science fiction.
I can't even imagine.
And the wild part is he's not like this larger-than-life persona.
Yeah.
You know, he's very down-to-earth,
Yeah.
kind of funny about it all.
Right.
You almost forget you're talking to someone who's literally making history.
It's pretty amazing, actually, how humble he is about it all.
Yes.
He really doesn't see himself as a trailblazer or anything.
Right.
More like just someone who is curious enough to take a leap.
And what a leap it is. I mean, brain surgery with experimental tech.
Yeah.
This isn't like trying a new phone.
Right.
This is a big deal. And the gravity of that decision really hit me when he said this. If anything goes wrong, I'd rather it go wrong to me.
Wow.
Like, there's just this weight of responsibility in his words. You know?
Absolutely. It speaks volumes about his character and his willingness to pave the way for others.
Yeah.
And you know what's interesting is this isn't even the starting point for brain-computer interfaces. People might be surprised to learn that scientists have been exploring this concept since like the 90s.
Oh, wow.
With things like the Utah array.
Okay. I've heard of that.
Yeah.
But from what I gather, Neuralink is like another level.
It's a whole other level entirely, and that's what makes our guest's experience so invaluable.
Totally.
He is living proof that this technology, which might seem like straight out of a movie, is becoming a reality.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things that really struck me was how he described Neuralink learning from his intentions, not just movements.
Really?
Not just specific movements.
So it's like it reads his mind.
Essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like he can control a computer cursor just by thinking, cursor, go here.
Wow.
It's not just about replicating physical actions. It's about bridging the gap between thought and technology.
That's incredible.
It's wild.
Okay, so before we get too far ahead, I want to go back, like rewind to his story a little bit.
Okay.
Because he talked about how a swimming accident led to a spinal cord injury that left him paralyzed.
Right.
He can't move anything below his shoulders.
Wow.
Can you imagine?
That's unimaginable.
And he speaks about it with this incredible mix of honesty and surprisingly humor. Like, he doesn't shy away from the difficulties, but he also acknowledges this profound shift in perspective it brought about.
Right.
He said something like, being a quadriplegic is easier than people think, but obviously it was really, really hard.
Yeah.
There's just so much to unpack in that statement.
Absolutely.
It really makes you think, like, where do you even begin to rebuild your life after something that significant?
It's got to be so hard.
And honestly, that's what makes Neuralink even more fascinating to me.
Right.
Because it becomes about reclaiming agency.
Totally.
Like pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
Yeah.
For him, it wasn't just about the technology.
Right.
It was about regaining a sense of control and independence.
It makes you wonder, what does this implant actually look and feel like?
Yeah.
Because I can't imagine having a computer chip just hanging out in my head.
No way.
So it's about the size of a quarter,
Okay.
maybe a bit thicker, and it sits on the surface of the skull.
Really?
Not exactly something you'd notice walking down the street.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's not like this huge thing sticking out.
No.
Okay, that's way smaller than I envisioned.
Yeah.
Still, though, brain surgery?
Yeah.
That sounds intense.
It does.
Did he talk about the experience at all?
He did, and he described it as surprisingly straightforward.
Really?
The whole procedure took less than 2 hours.
2 hours? Are you kidding?
I know.
I spent longer than that deciding what to watch on Netflix.
Right?
That's wild.
It's crazy.
And they just like pop it in there?
Essentially, they remove a small part of the skull,
Okay.
insert the device, and then replace the bone. And they use the patient's own tissue to minimize the risk of rejection.
Oh, wow.
It's pretty incredible.
That's amazing.
Right.
But what can he actually do with it
Right.
besides, control computers with his thoughts like some kind of tech wizard?
Well, right now, the implant allows him to connect to a computer wirelessly,
Okay.
kind of like a Bluetooth connection.
Got it.
So he can control a cursor type, surf the web,
Wow.
all with his mind.
No way.
Yeah.
What?
He even plays video games.
Well, no, wait. Video games?
Uh-huh.
Like using Neuralink to play like Call of Duty?
Well,
Is that even a thing?
he specifically mentioned playing Civilization 6
Wow.
all night.
No way. That's hardcore.
Yeah.
I could barely keep my attention span long enough for a game of Scrabble.
But seriously, can you imagine, like, after thinking you'd never experience the thrill of gaming again?
Right.
You're strategizing your way through ancient civilizations.
Yeah.
It's not just function they're restoring.
Right.
It's passion. It's escape.
It's incredible.
It really is.
It's a testament to the potential of this technology to go beyond just addressing basic needs.
Yeah.
And actually enhancing our lives in ways we're only beginning to grasp.
It's true.
But it's not without its challenges.
Right, because he did mention something about the possibility of being hacked.
Yeah.
Which is literally every sci-fi movie ever coming to life.
Right.
And not in a good way.
Not in a good way.
So that's got to be like a major concern, right?
It's a valid concern, however. It's important to understand that the technology is still in its early stages.
He said that while it might be possible for hackers to glimpse at brain signals or the data Neuralink collects,
Right.
the capabilities are limited.
Limited how?
Okay, so right now the risks are more along the lines of privacy violations,
Okay.
accessing personal information, potentially manipulating what he sees on a computer.
Got it.
But as the technology progresses, so do the potential threats.
For sure.
Which is why it's crucial to have these open conversations about these issues now.
It's like we're stepping into uncharted territory here.
Yeah, in a lot of ways.
It's exciting, sure, but it's also a bit like wandering through a spooky forest in the dark.
Right.
You're not sure what's out there.
Yeah.
But, does have the potential to be amazing or terrifying.
Absolutely.
He made a really interesting comparison.
What's that?
He likened it to the early days of the internet.
Oh, interesting.
He was like, nobody could have predicted how it would explode,
Yeah,
how it would change the way we connect, work, even think.
that's true.
And look at us now,
Right.
sharing memes with strangers, ordering groceries online at 2:20 a.m.
Exactly.
It's incredible and completely bonkers.
It is.
Like we went from dial-up to doom scrolling in the blink of an eye.
Right.
And with Neuralink, we're talking about something potentially even more transformative.
Absolutely. We could be on the verge of breakthroughs in treating conditions like blindness paralysis,
Wow.
even mental illness.
Right.
They're already conducting trials with monkeys.
Oh, wow.
And he spoke about his own hope of regaining mobility someday.
Wow. Yeah, it's like we're on the cusp of this incredible future where, like you said, science fiction becomes reality. But, we've also got to acknowledge the elephant in the room here, right?
Oh, absolutely.
While the potential benefits are mind-blowing,
Yeah.
we can't ignore the potential downsides either.
Of course not.
What about the ethical implications of all this?
Right.
Could Neuralink create a divide between like the haves and have-nots?
Totally. That's a huge one.
And then what happens when this technology advances to the point where we can basically read each other's minds?
Yeah.
Does privacy even exist in that world?
Right. Like, where do you draw the line?
Exactly.
It's really murky waters.
And he even joked about like needing a Tesla phone to interact with certain technologies now.
He did?
And I was like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
you're kind of right.
Right.
It's wild to think that our world might have to be redesigned around brain-computer interfaces.
I know. And he had a really interesting point about that, actually.
What's that?
He said that he thinks if politicians truly grasped what Neuralink could do,
Yeah.
they'd shut it down immediately.
Wow.
Isn't that kind of chilling?
It is pretty freaky.
Yeah.
It speaks to the potential for this technology to like disrupt power structures,
Totally.
to
Yeah.
completely upend the status quo
As we know it.
as we know it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's bring it back to like our guest for a moment.
Okay.
Because he talked about how surreal this whole experience has been.
I bet.
To be the first,
Yeah.
to be kind of thrust into the spotlight as the face of Neuralink.
Right.
It's a lot of pressure for one person to carry.
I can only imagine.
It really makes you wonder, has he connected with other Neuralink recipients?
I was wondering that too.
Is there like a sense of community forming around this shared experience?
Right. Because they're kind of like pioneers in a way,
Totally.
venturing into uncharted territory together.
Exactly. And I'd love to know like what advice he would give to someone considering Neuralink in the future.
Right.
What would he tell them?
Well, he kind of summed it up really beautifully. He said, it's exciting times. The future's going to be very interesting.
Wow.
There's this sense of like awe in his words, like a belief that we're really standing on the precipice of something extraordinary.
It's inspiring, honestly. And, we've covered a lot today, from the science to the possibilities to the ethical dilemmas.
It's a lot to process.
It really is. But I think if you take away just one thing from this whole deep dive, it's that technology is evolving faster than ever before.
It's true.
And it's up to us to engage with it thoughtfully, critically, and with open minds, because this isn't science fiction anymore.
Right.
This is our future unfolding right before our eyes.
I think you just nailed it.